Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar, SEO Strategies for 2012, 4 Solutions to Effective Link Building. My name is Michaela McNamara, and I am the editor with Casino Affiliate Programs. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedules to join us for our live webinar program today. Today, we'll be covering the topic of link building. We know that this is an area that many affiliates want to improve upon in 2012. So we'll be providing you with 4 excellent solutions to boost your link building efforts next year. For the next hour, we'll be focusing on top research techniques for your link building strategies, how to blag a link, what systems affiliates should implement to improve link building strategies, and the best practices for buying links. If you have any questions about any of the content presented today, as always, we will be providing an extended Q&A session for the last 20 minutes of the webinar. You are welcome to submit your questions throughout the presentation using the question panel in the GoToWebinar panel. Before we get started, I would like to thank today's webinar sponsor, the London Affiliate Conference. Organized by iGaming Business under the IGB affiliate brand, LAC is the biggest affiliate event in iGaming. It's grown from over 600 attendees to over 2,500 attendees in just over 5 years, making it the backbone of all affiliate events. The event runs from January 26th to 29th, 2012, and is free for all affiliates. For more information on LAC, please visit the links on your screen at www.londonaffiliateconference.com or igbaffiliate.com. We'd also like to take a moment to mention CAP's nominations at the IGB Awards 2012, held right before LAC kicks off. CAP has been nominated for 5 awards this year and would appreciate if our community showed their support by us for voting for CAP for the Lou Fabiano Award Best iGaming Community, Best Non-Traditional Affiliate, Best Overall Affiliate, and Brooke Cole for the Best Non-Traditional Affiliate Manager and Best Overall Affiliate Manager. It's your support that makes these free and live webinars possible, along with our video interviews, forums, and excellent content. Please take a moment to vote for us no later than this Monday, December 12th, for these awards at www.igbaffiliate.com/events/IGBaffiliateawards/vote. Moving on to our prestigious guest speakers. We're pleased to be joining forces with Nick Garner of Unibet and Paul Riley of Media Skunkworks. Nick Garner is a recognized expert in SEO and social media within the iGaming industry. Nick works for Unibet, the largest European bookmakers with 4.5 million registered customers. He works with online acquisition and is head of search with responsibility for SEO, PPC, social media, refer a friend, and has oversight on some of Unibet's conversion optimization activities. Nick puts commercial successes down to a practical understanding of internet-related technology, human behavior, and outreach to win mindshare and new business. Our other speaker, Paul Riley, has worked in search marketing for over 13 years and has earned multiple awards and honors. He's regarded as one of the UK's most influential SEOs and is the first port of call for most iGaming brands. He's the founder of Media Skunkworks, a new generation service provider that has built its reputation on innovation and optimized methodologies to provide outsourced think tank and creative problem-solving services. Nick and Paul will be conducting an affiliate learning session at LAC in January, so be sure to check them out there if you're attending. Nick and Paul, welcome to the webinar, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Let's get started.
Okay, so, right, now, just to give a little bit more detail on me, I'm lucky enough to work for an operator. And because I work for an operator, I have a reasonable amount of resource behind me. But I have to work across a lot of different countries. So at the moment, we have jurisdiction over, I think it's about 25 countries, of which I have 8 core countries and another 7, let's say, peripheral countries. But next year, we're going to be working a lot more in what I call the long tail of countries. So in other words, we've got to be able to chunk down our activities into much smaller little units, as it were. So we might have a person running the Latvian operation or whatever. And so in a sense, when I look at what I do, I think of myself as an affiliate, but on the other side of the fence. So the stuff that I think about, I take reference off you guys as a community, which is why I have a great deal of respect for all affiliates, because you generally have to do it against the odds, and some of you. So just to start, I think the thing I've learned the most about is having a plan in mind. So in SEO, it's fairly straightforward. You look at you do your analysis, find phrases you're interested in, and you go, right, I'm going to rank for that. Well, that's the first step. But then you get into the whole business about link building and what it takes exactly to achieve that ranking. And that's a really tough question, I find, because the quality of the data we can get our hands on is often rather variable. So you end up just guessing a lot of the time. And in my past, I've burned quite a lot of money, I have to say, on just not planning properly and getting people to do stuff that really gave me no benefit whatsoever. So the thing that I want to talk about is how I plan stuff, and we'll run through that. So the first thing is the idea that you've got to get a certain number of new domains on board. So links is good, but unique IPs is better. So I always think about, when I think about a key phrase, when I think about a country or whatever, so the way it would work is that I would look at, say, Norway and pick keyword casino. I'd look at the sites that are ranking there, and I'd look at how many domains they've picked up over time in order to rank. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I would look at the mix of the links, like how good they are across the board. And there's often on the link thing. Often on the sorry, I was distracted there. Often on the link quality mix, as it were, you get an awful lot of rubbish, and it's really important to break out the difference between the stuff that's actually useful and stuff that isn't. So this is where good analysis comes in, and we'll talk a little bit more about this in a minute. Relevance is pretty straightforward. It is a qualitative thing. So in other words, if something is contextually right, then I guess it's relevant. But then we're dealing with search algorithms, and actually what's relevant for a search algorithm and for a human was quite a long way apart, and now they're getting closer together. So now you can think more like a human when you look at this stuff. And obviously anchor text is a very important one. And we'll go into that in a little bit more detail. And geolocation of links, especially if you're doing international. So it's a very important area. So the first thing is the data analysis stuff. And what I typically do is, instead of, well, the first thing is I look at who's ranking for what. And my assumption is that if someone ranks number 1 for something, they're doing a better job than the one that's ranking number 10. So my very first thing that I always do is just look at the difference between the winners and the losers, and start to work my way through the data in that way. So everything is off that axis. So when I get a data set, so let's move on to the next slide. So you can see here, this is just a table of the top ranking sites for a phrase called Gokstaten, which is some sort of Dutch gambling related phrase. I just picked this kind of randomly because I thought it would be a bit of fun to do it that way. Now, this slide here is from Majestic, and it's the Backlinks Discovery report. Now, the thing about this one is that I'm not 100% sure exactly on how they filter this. I did ask them the other day because I wanted to get more clarification on it. The graphs I use are a little more kind of dirty, and therefore I didn't particularly want to show them to you because they wouldn't really make a lot of sense. But essentially what I do is I get I do an advanced Majestic report for each of the sites. I then look through the top inbound links. So there's usually, like, if it's a decently large site, there'll be, say, 1,000 top backlinks report. There'll be 1,000 links or whatever. And then look at the discovery date on those. And that gives me a kind of feel for how quickly sites are getting new links. Now, on Majestic, there's 2 indexes. There's the historic index and there's the fresh index. the historic index is really good for this kind of stuff. So you can see here the gratis fruit machines have been, as I put it, rather busy. In fact, they've been too busy. Because as you see, if you look here, you've got flash grockerstatin, cash grockerstatin, and gratis fruit machines. That's in order of rankings. So you can see they're doing okay, but if I was Google, I'd be kind of interested in them because they're just sitting above the parapet. They're doing too much, as it were, in my opinion. Now, I've got another chart here, which is a cumulative chart. If we can get this thing to move forward a slide. I think when there's a lot of people on the GoToWebinar, it just all slows up a bit. Now, here's a very useful analysis. And this one is really important for me. So when I look at what I do, I always want to just be like everyone else, but a little bit better. But if you look at gratis fruit machines, you look at what they've been up to, it's just a little bit unnatural. And we always hear about sites that are getting busted and getting hand jobs from Google because something, a thing and alert has gone to them and they do a hand check and they just check you out and see what's going on. And they go, that person's been buying loads of links. And then, bang, you lose your rankings. So, as I say, my big strategy whenever I do whatever I do is to just be like everyone else. So we do a lot of calcs, not so much based on this data, because this is just a bit too general, but it's more around we've built a tool which allows us to take all the top backlinks data, slice it up, get discovery dates. We then match it up with some of the other Majestic data, and it gives us a rough guesstimation. It's, like I said at the beginning, a lot of this data is messy anyway, so you never really know. The best you can do is at least give a decent guess. So essentially, the bottom line is, I want to come out with, I need this number of new domains over this period of time at this quality level. So this doesn't give you the quality levels, but it does give you rough count on domains. You've got to go into the top backlinks data to work out the rough proportions of, AC rank 5 and above, or whatever domains you want to use your metrics for. Now, the thing is, if you've done this for years like Paul has, then that's easy. The thing is, I have to do all this stuff because I have to cascade tasks down to lots of other people, whereas Paul kind of has a really tight team. He knows what he's doing, and they just kind of fly into it. But for my lot, I have to do all this analysis, which is a bit time-consuming. This one gives us an idea of anchor text mix. So what we do is, the tool that we've built, we sweep through all the top backlinks. We define them as you see here, brand, phrase, exact match, phrase match, broad match, and other. So it's just like the AdWords categorizations. What's interesting here, for example, on this one, is if you look at gocstatin.nl, most of that is exact match, because gocstatin is the phrase, gocstatin.nl is the brand, and it just shows you the power of exact match domains, really, because it's a very pure domain centered around a single word, and the whole thing works. If you look at clubfruit.com, for example, you can see there that there's a fair chunk of brand there. A proportion, in percentage terms, I suppose about 20%, that kind of thing. And then we've got a 15% brand phrase, I guess. Good chunk of exact match and phrase match. So, they say that brand matters. Well, here's a good example of how brand matters, that you do have to have a certain amount of brand just to be there, as it were. But also what's interesting about this kind of stuff is you can see that size matters as well. In other words, when I analyze these sort of domains, I don't look at the big sites like 888.com or whatever, because they distort my data set. I'm most interested in smaller websites like Gocstatin or Gratis Fruit Machines or whatever. Those kind of smaller players, because their link profiles are much cleaner, and therefore I can get a much clearer idea of what I need to do on a little chunk of my site to get it ranking. So I would pick, for example, Gratis Fruit Machines or Club Fruit or whatever, those sites as a reference point, in fact, not Gocstatin, because I don't have exact match key phrase, so it's not relevant to me, and I wouldn't pick 888.com, for example, really. I mean, I might, but I'm more interested in these local affiliate sites. So that's that analysis. This one is kind of interesting because it's not interesting, if that makes any sense. So this is SEO Moz data, and what I find really odd about this is that it doesn't actually have a real pattern to me. If anything, the pattern's just all upside down, because if you look at number one in SEO Moz strength terms or whatever, it's more or less identical to cache gokstatin.nl, which is what, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th place, and it's the same as 9th place. So I don't get it, and therefore, in general, I've got to say I wanted to really trust SEO Moz data, but I just haven't had any useful signals from it. So I'm really much more interested in Majestic, because I think with Majestic you can really shovel in the number and really kind of do big blocks of work with it. And also the API is excellent, so you can really manipulate the data as you wish. So this is just some other comments. I'm running out of time because I like talking a little too much, but let's rattle through a few more of these. So this is AC rank distribution. This is a really useful metric, I think, because it gives you a sense where the quality lives. Now, AC rank is a bit like page rank. It's far more blunt than page rank. You should go to the website, read the glossary, and it'll explain exactly how it works. But in essence, in my opinion, AC rank is getting to be a more useful indicator because of fresh index. So in other words, in the past, Majestic would hang on to all the data, give you all the historical data. So that would mean you get all the dead links and all the crap, all the stuff that just was not really useful. But the fresh index means that they crawl it. I think they update the data set every month, and therefore it's actually a nice data set to work with. So when you're doing AC rank analysis and you're looking at the relative quality, the relative AC distribution of links within a given set of sites, it starts to help you make more sense. In essence, good stuff is better. You need a little bit of not so good stuff, but essentially good stuff is better. If it's too pure, it's knock out a flag. But the idea that you should go comment spamming and stuff like that is just to me proves that it's just nonsense, because it is just an absolute waste of time doing that kind of stuff. And Paul will talk about the kind of stuff that unfortunately one has to do sometimes later on. This one is anchor text breakdown. Again, if you're comfortable with spreadsheets, you can just take these reports, you can do an analysis, you can just see what the mix is like. I use this out of interest. So what I mean by that is that when we distribute tasks to people, we say we need this amount of this phrase, that amount of that phrase, and here's a basket of 10 variations, and the variations will come from us looking at what other people are up to and then mirroring those kind of variations but make them relevant to us. So therefore, I don't have people going off-piste and coming up with some random phrase that frankly has nothing to do with anything, and I can actually get them to do what I ask them to do. So in other words, brand phrase or exact match or whatever. It's kind of important. And this here is Grokstatin, I think, from memory. And this just highlights the point about some sites are just weird, and obviously it's all logical what's going on here. For this one, it's all about the brand, because it's grokstatin.com, so therefore it's brand because it's got .com or whatever it is, a TLD after it. But again, it just shows you it might actually be worth your money going and buying some exact match domains. This one I'm going to whip through. Essentially, when I'm looking for links, I'm very interested in who's easy, inverted commas. So if a site puts it out to a few different sites, i.e. they link out to a few different sites, that's good. I like. So ClickHunter is great just because it can give you big bulk lists of stuff. You can then run that stuff through a filter, like a checker. So one of the things I really like is SEMrush. They have an API, and what we do is we run these domains through their API and just see if they come up on any of their databases. And if they don't, that tells me a lot about those domains. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, SEMrush is a tool that tells you what phrases a given website is ranking for. This is really helpful because if they don't rank for anything, then do you really think Google loves them? I don't think so. And if they don't love them, then why would I pay a load of money to get a link off them when perhaps it's just artificially induced page rank or something, or artificially induced AC rank? So I just think as a very cursory test, SEMrush, just, it's great. And I know that it's integrated in Raven tools, so you can ping away all you like if you've got a seat on Raven tools. The other big point is that when we do link acquisition, I treat it like a sales process. So if you think about it, every single site that you want to get a link from is essentially a potential customer. It's all a bit backwards because we pay them instead of them paying us. But anyway, the point is that they're a potential person we want to do business with. And so the only way you're going to organize it is to have some kind of CRM tool. And I think I like Zoho because it's very malleable and it's relatively cheap per seat. If you're dealing with link sellers, and I personally never deal with link sellers, Black Hat is bad and I don't approve of it, but there are people who do, and even this system works for it, because if they give you a 1,000, list of 1,000 links or whatever, you've got to keep track of what's living and what's dead. So we've done a little bit of work on the API. We ping a website every month or so just to see if the link's still alive. And we also set up the contract, or the negotiated period for the link. So if we do content for links, for example, and we want to make sure that the link is live after a year or 8 months or whatever the figure is, we'll set up a little alert. And if something goes wrong, then we have a report saying the link is dead. The point is, you cannot manage this sort of stuff off a spreadsheet, not at this scale. And if you're a serious affiliate, you'll be running multiple websites, doing multiple deals with multiple people, spending lots of cash on link acquisition or links, link acquisition by kind, as in you do stuff for people or you do PR, whatever. The point is you've got to keep a track of it all. And I think we're very nearly there. What's the next slide? Yeah. Okay, so this is just an example of the sales back end. You can see lots of campaigns, lots of websites, and we have a way of grading them. It just makes it easier for us. We bunch AC rank groupings, so we have 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, and it just makes it easier for us to manage this process. Otherwise, it gets really complicated. Here's a couple of little interesting articles here. I have a Delicious feed, which is delicious.com/Nick Garner, and then /link building, where I bookmark all of the art stuff that I find interesting on link building. So this is a really great resource, in my opinion. I use it all the time. It's very helpful. And I think we're there. So over to you, Paul.
Okay, thank you very much. That was very interesting. Okay,
well, thank you, Paul.
That's quite all right, Nick. Okay, so I suppose just moving on to my section, I'd just like to set the scene quite quickly. So the reality of the situation is that the two reasons why iGaming is considered a tough market to crack is one of two things. The SERPs are highly monetizable, and as a result of them being so monetizable, they become competitive. And the same can be said for any SERP. It's particularly monetizable in adult and also in pharmaceutical, and hence those three, iGaming, adult, and farm, are considered the most competitive. The other thing is that link profiles are almost entirely augmented. There isn't anything that happens naturally in casino. There's a little that happens in sports betting, but in casino, poker, and bingo, the only links that exist are artificial. Okay, so let's start with casino. All right, there are 3 types of casino site on the web. There's an affiliate site, which are called Type 1. The affiliate sites Type 1 are sites that actually drive players and revenue. Next to that, there's purpose-built link inventory. And then there's affiliate site Type 2. Now, a Type 2 was formerly a Type 1, but they failed to do their SEO properly, didn't make any money, so started selling links. The laws of economics kind of kicked in, and people started demanding links, and they started supplying those links for a fee. So effectively, you've got purpose-built inventory or affiliate sites, either failed or succeeded. Now, I'm just going to whiz through these quite quickly. Bingo is the same. The trouble with Bingo is that it doesn't have the history that Casino has. I'm looking at the UK here, but as you can see from this trends graph, Bingo doesn't have the history that Casino has. So therefore, there's far less available inventory. And when you kind of run a lot of large-scale Bingo campaigns, you actually run into a wall, into a barrier where you run out of available inventory, and that's when you start making up your own. Going to the next slide. Poker's slightly different. There are 4 types of poker site. Again, you've got affiliate site type 1, which is driving players and revenue. Purpose-built inventory. Then you've got the failed affiliates that are now selling links because they figured out they can make money this way. But you do have some fan sites. Often these fan sites figured out they can monetize their fan sites because they've been approached by all the operators and the affiliates want to buy links. And they've figured out they can earn a living either as an affiliate or as a link seller. So they become either number 1 or number 3, having started out life as number 4. But the point I'm trying to make here, and I'm just going to finish off with sports betting, the point I'm trying to make here is that in gaming, there isn't really anything out there that's natural. They're either making money or they're selling links, okay? In sports betting, this is a different game completely. The fan sites are legitimate fan sites, like Chelsea or Arsenal or horse racing, whatever. These fans are legitimate fans. They have legitimate sites and they have legitimate content and legitimate readership. Different ball game to casino, bingo, poker. But also you do get the affiliates type 1, purpose-built link inventory, and affiliate sites type 2. Okay, so what I'm trying to say here is, just to hammer this home, is the whole link graph is, apart from some areas of sports betting, is fake. It's augmented and it's engineered. So if you are of the belief that build it and they will link to you and that will drive results in Google that make the users come, you are massively mistaken. Everyone that's on page 1 for any of these major keywords, they're there for a reason. They're there because they acquired links. Whether they bought them or blagged them, it's one of those two, basically. It's very rare for a legitimate organic link to occur, particularly in casino, poker, and bingo. Okay, so where do you want to get your links from? Well, in order of preference, I would always prefer to get genuine editorial links. That's links in content in articles, blog posts, news, whatever. Okay? And I want those on publishers, genuine publishers, whether it be B2B or B2C. There are a few really nice, genuine sites out there. And that would be the first place I'd want links. Okay? The second place would be editorial on affiliate sites type 1. This comes with the problems. Editorial on affiliate sites type 2 would be next in line, and editorial on purpose-built link inventory with QC, so with quality control. You've got to be really careful with the purpose-built link inventory because there's so much of it and most of it's nonsense. But that's my order of preference. That's my own personal take on this. Okay, so let's look at the first approach, Blag a link. Okay. So let's look at affiliate site type 1. Basically, just to give you a quick overview, these guys don't want to sell links. However, there may be an opportunity to exchange links. What I found is if you have a good quality affiliate site that's the real deal, it's respected, it's driving players, it's driving revenue, it's got nice rankings, you will be best placed to exchange links. You can also exchange services, exclusive research, any kind of data for content if it's of a high enough quality. But with the affiliate sites of type 1 that are generating revenue, you can exchange links. Now, Matt Cutts, well, let's just go back in time a bit. The affiliates, the whole fear of exchanging links that exists today, it's pretty much dogma, came from a reciprocal linking penalty that was introduced back in the day. That reciprocal linking penalty was applied because there were many directories at the time that would allow you a listing in exchange for a link. It'd be a free listing for a link. So the reciprocal linking penalty really only applied to sites that had excessive reciprocal linking. And Matt Cutts himself said that when they looked at the natural linking patterns between Yahoo and Google, there was reciprocal linking in place entirely organically. So therefore, and I've tried this myself and I can vouch for this, although why should you believe me? I'm just a guy, and I recommend that you don't believe any individual and do your own testing. But based on my own testing and research, reciprocal linking works very well. And just on that one, at the Barcelona Affiliate Conference, BAC, I introduced a hashtag called backlink, BAC link. So hash BAC link. And I would urge everyone on here to tweet the products that they promote and the TLDs or territories that they promote them in. And then you guys can all collaborate and join forces and outgun the operators. There's one thing the affiliates can do that the operators can't do is reciprocate links and collaborate. So I would recommend you that's hash BAC link. Just put forward the products, casino, poker, bingo, etc., whatever, Forex even, and the TLDs that you operate in, and use that as a resource to share and collaborate. Okay. Next thing, tenancy placements on these type of sites are very high cost. The important thing that I find across everything is personal relationships. Leverage personal relationships. Put yourself in those places. In fact, if you guys, I know this is sponsored by LAC, IGB. I am not affiliated with IGB. I just happen to be there speaking at it. But I would say, and if you don't attend these events, particularly LAC, you're pretty much setting yourself up to fail, because the kind of relationships you develop, particularly in the bar, will be priceless. You'll be in an environment surrounded by your peers and in a really beneficial position to collaborate and work together to, a rising tide rises all ships, or something like that, so I'm told. Okay, but don't expect any premium placements to come cheap if you're paying for them, but if you're collaborating and doing exchanges, then you can leverage that. Work on that. Affiliate site type 2. 1 second, I'm just waiting for the bear with me. There's a bit of a delay on the next slide. Okay, so type 2. Remember, these guys have they basically have changed their model and are now selling links because the market demand dictates that they do that. They're not making the money from the SEO and from the affiliate revenue, so they're selling links. And these guys are in a position where they really need to monetize their sites, and they also need content. You are very well placed with these guys to get deals in exchange for content. Do expect there to be a low cost, or certainly an admin cost. You know, these guys need to put food on the table. Okay, they survive by selling links. So blagging can be tricky. But if you're dealing with a broker, and I don't advise that you do unless you know that broker well and you have an experience working with them, or they come highly recommended, I'd forget blagging. That's a different story, but we'll get to that later. And again, personal relationships. Get yourself out to LAC and go out to all the parties. It's amazing who you'll meet there. People with link networks, people with affiliate sites, affiliates at a top tier. Get yourself out there. And again, leverage. Another thing to do is certainly leverage large-scale orders. Okay, I'll try to whiz through this as quick as I can. I realise we're short on time. Okay, now purpose-built inventory. You've got to be really careful with this stuff because the quality can be variable at best. Content exchanges are great because these guys really can't scale content, the deployment of content on these networks. So you're very well positioned to do deals there in exchange for content. But be very careful when considering these sites. Do all the checks, look at the data. I mean, I look at a few things which I'll go into shortly, but careful of link brokers. Just be really careful of link brokers. The amount of times when I've placed, well, it only happened a few times, kind of wised up, but I've gone through link brokers, placed links for a 12-month period, and after 3 months they've disappeared. Once bitten, twice shy, it won't happen again. Okay, so buying links. Affiliates type 1 rarely, if ever, sell links cost effectively to a buyer. Okay, they can get much more money from the operators for placements for that real estate. However, if you can model a return on investment, let's just say you're in position 2 for a keyword, and you can actually or realistically think that this one link is going to push you up to position 1 from position 2, and you can project or extrapolate that return on investment, then you can quite safely model that and take a punt, in which case you may be able to pay over the odds. But generally speaking, affiliate sites type 1 never sell links cost effectively, if at all. There are exceptions, which include what I call large network affiliates. So, you know, guys that have hundreds of sites all yielding a couple of players a month or a handful of players a month. Because they distribute across so many sites, they are in a unique position where they need the content in a scalable fashion, which brings me on to point 4, content plus fee for a, oh, there's something on the window that's gone. Content plus fee for a placement. If there is a need for content, and obviously they need to make money, then there's a chance you can do a deal there. Okay, let's just move quickly to the next one. Okay, so affiliate sites type 2, again, these guys are selling links, low, medium cost for placement, and again, leverage those personal relationships. Be careful with brokers and pretend to be a chick. Now, this sometimes gets laughs, but we discovered it quite by accident in my former world, where an admin girl came and joined the link building department temporarily. We were all trying to wonder how come she was getting 10 times the response rate to everyone else, which was all guys, and then it became quite clear that she was getting the response rate because she was a chick. We then applied that same strategy to all the guys, renamed them girls, and I think one of my former colleagues, Will Conboy, managed to save a couple of £1 million one year by putting little kisses and winks at the bottom of his emails. So use that whole thing. But when you do rock up at a conference, you just got to tell the guys just who've been dealing with your fake chick that she's on leave at the moment and couldn't make it. So you do need to perpetuate the lie, but it's good fun and you'll save a load of money. Okay. And again, leveraging the scale of economy. Quickly to the next one. There we go. So fan sites. Now, these are an interesting one. The fan sites, you can get placements at the lowest cost. The fan sites provide the cheapest links. The best way to get on a fan site is to mirror their fanaticism. If it's a Chelsea site, approach them as a hot chick who's a fan of Chelsea. Develop the relationships and work on those relationships. Face to face is best. In the bar is better. Social media also works, but you can't beat high touch face to face relationships. And I can't stress this enough. Get yourself to LAC, hang out in the bar, go to all the parties and take loads of cards. Okay. Purpose-built inventory, things to check for. Artificially inflated page rank. Okay, so some guy says I've got PR5, but he's only got like 13 root linking domains, which you can get from Open Site Explorer. Check it out. check out whether the pages are indexed, check whether the site's history, what it looks like in archive.org. Look at the Wayback Machine and see if it used to be this. Maybe it was something else. Look for tricky redirects. Check the link profiles of the sites. Make sure that the link profile looks organic. There's a mix of brand versus exact match phrases, whatever. Just make sure the thing looks real. If you smell a rat and the thing's got like a high page rank and it's not got very many links, then it's usually because it's inflated for the purpose of selling links. It may be that you buy a link on that site, and a couple of months later, the guy who's monetizing this site has decided to point all his links to his other site. This one drops like a stone. You're already in for 12 months, and he'll come back and sell you another link. And one of the great features of Raven is it will check not only whether the link exists after it's been placed, but it will also check the page rank or the moz rank and report whether that changes either upwards or downwards on a monthly basis. And that's it. Any questions, I think?
Great. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Nick, so much for that great presentation. We've had a number of questions come in during your sessions, and we'll get into it. The first question came in for Nick. Nick, what impact do you see Google Plus having on link building in 2012? And do you have any advice for affiliates who aren't using Google Plus yet?
Yeah, no, that's a really interesting one. I've been thinking about this quite a lot recently. I was thinking, right, so I was looking around on Google, but by the way, just so you know, I've made my today, funnily enough, I've made my default search engine Bing, because I'm just a bit tired of Google, but that's a whole other story. Anyway, I was looking around on Google, and there are a lot of people selling plus ones, but that's not the point, because the plus one as a ranking signal is not really going to do you any good, and they've said that explicitly. Remember, the thing with Google is it's all about fear, uncertainty, and doubt. So the business about reciprocal linking that Paul talked about, classic case. Reciprocal linking does work, just don't go overboard with it. Plus one as a ranking signal doesn't work. But what does work is if you get people within a certain part of the social graph to plus one you, then that's cool. So, for example, if you're an affiliate and if you can build up a massive set of social circles, let's say, using the Google Plus One functionality, and you bribe them into giving you a plus one, then obviously the friends of the people who have plus one you will see your site above others because Google will give it a ranking boost. So in other words, the thing I've been thinking about this year is how am I going to build out a massive plus one social graph? The other thing I would say is I take plus one very, very seriously. And people moan about plus one not really getting any lift off. But you know what? If it gives you traffic, then webmasters will adopt it and they will kind of lead the way. And it will in my opinion, it's going to overtake Facebook just because it'll give you traffic that it'll give you rankings basically on phrases that have money. So that's how I feel about plus one. I think it's really important, and at the moment I feel it's about 10%, worth about 10%. I haven't got a specific budget allocated for it yet because I haven't quite worked out how I'm going to do this. But I just feel there's going to be some bribery involved somewhere along the line. It'll be something like if you plus one, we'll do something, or if you plus one, you can, like on Facebook fan pages. Like my fan page, and you can see what's behind the door, as it were. It's the same kind of mechanism. There'll be something. I just haven't worked it out yet. I just want to say one thing, by the way. The reason I can do stuff like this is because my loving employers, Unibet, like to show the world that that they're involved in affiliate, and it is true. And I just want to say that there's the iGaming Awards on very soon, and voting is about to close, I think, early next week, around the 12th, I think. We've got a really good affiliate manager called Ellen Garth, who's very popular amongst affiliates. And as you may know, if you're involved in our affiliate program, we do a lot of work to keep you guys happy. And if you have an opportunity, please vote for her. All you have to do is type into your favorite search engine, mine is Bing at the moment, and just type in iGaming Awards vote, and it'll take you straight in there. It'll take you about a minute to vote. I'd really appreciate it if you could. Okay, thanks very much. What's the next question?
The next question is for Paul, actually. We've gotten quite a few of the same question. Paul, can you define what Blag a link means?
Oh dear.
Paul.
Okay. Blag a link. Well, I suppose the word was first used in English. Blag is a term given to a thief, a blackguard. It's really doing what you got to do to get hold of that link. However you go about it, whether you pay for it or you bribe someone for it or you offer services for it of any description, and that's basically it. It's just doing what you've got to do to get that link.
Can I offer a suggestion here? Can I just say, here's Blag a link, for example. You go and pitch someone, and you say, yeah, we'd love to do content exchange for you. And they say, well, that's fine. You slip in the fact that it's going to cost you £20 an article to write. And meanwhile, you've got your little factory of Indian writers out there who put together reasonably good stuff that costs you $2 a link. That's blagging a link.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, that makes sense.
Hopefully it ain't pretty,
that for our audience.
It's just, what do you do to hustle? It's hustling. That's another good word.
Yeah, hustling. I think it's an English phrase, so it's an English.
Yeah.
English word.
Okay. Well, maybe we can attribute that to you. That'll be your trademark. So can either of you give us some examples of affiliates in the iGaming space who are exceptional link builders?
The guys are number one.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Actually, no, the guys that are number one now, that are number one in 6 months, they're the good guys.
And the guys who are number one in the real, obviously, because all things are competition is relative. You could get all SEO Moz about it and talk about the white hat stuff. You could talk about online betting guide and how they build a beautiful community and how it's all so magical and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, all an affiliate cares about is ranking on phrases that make money, however it takes, and off they go. OLBG is a bit of an exception, but yeah, it's just who ranks best, really.
Yeah, and who stays there longest.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, next question from our audience. How many websites would you recommend to contact per month in order to get or buy 25 links for a client?
I have some metrics on that. Do you want to go first, Paul?
I'd say it depends on a number of things. It depends on the product. It depends on the approach. It depends on your quality expectations. There are so many variables that it'd be a tough one just to pick an arbitrary number out there. And again, over time, you develop relationships, and those relationships lead to what would have formerly been a 5% conversion from approaching to placing the link through to like close to 100%.
Yeah, I go with this. The other thing I would add to, you say 25 links. I presume what you actually mean is 25 different domains, and probably sitting on 20 different IPs, to be specific. And you know what? It might just take you a 3-minute phone call because you met the guy at LAC in the bar and he said, yeah, I'm up for it. If you're just an outsider and you're hustling, as Paul suggested, I think 5%. So in other words, you have to send out, the kind of numbers that I've seen are you would send out 100 emails, you'd get 20 responses if you're good, of which, if the offer is nice, then that's 5 conversions.
But the hot chick persona alias will assist you in that mission.
Gotcha.
Paul, you remember you did all this. What was let's say you did 100 solicitations and it was just the normal, I like your blog, can we do some business whatever, those kind of spammy ones.
Yeah.
Is the not so hot chick, but being a little flirty. What was the difference?
It was about 10 times.
Well, so you're saying 2% versus 20%?
Yeah. Something about that, yeah.
Well, there you go. There's the answer. Be a chick. Or even do it for real. Get some girls in. Girls are great to work with. I love working with girls.
I like that.
I do. I like working with girls. Yep. There's too many men in our industry, really. It's just far too blokey. Really, it is.
Next question for you, gentlemen. What approach would you recommend to push an online poker league's ranking? What partners would you look for?
Guys that rank, or sites that rank for the keywords you want to rank for, that's a really good indicator. I'd look at that above everything. Never mind AC rank, page rank, link variation, domains. None of that nonsense counts when you look at who ranks. So if you've got someone who's number one for it, and you can get a link off those guys, then that's your primary objective, is to get that link, no matter what you have to do. If it involves hot girls, fine.
Yeah, well, it kind of makes sense, doesn't it? But the catch is that you're not necessarily going to get a link off that person, because maybe they're a very profitable type 1 affiliate that has a complete neurosis about ever giving a link out to anybody. And in my experience, as much as I love you guys, affiliates, I find you bizarrely territorial about giving links. So this is why I have a policy of never, ever, ever pitching an affiliate for a link, because it's just too much hassle. And I just think so this is the thing. If you can't go there, where else do you go? And this is where you start to dig further down into the barrel, and you look at who links to who, and you look at the sites that link to the top poker site, obviously, and you start looking at the ones that are pimping themselves out a bit. So maybe they're linking to 2 or more other sites in the top 10. Well, then there's much more of a probability that they're up for something. So who puts it out? That's kind of the thing I look for.
Great. Thank you for that. The next question is a bit of a long one, so let's just prepare. How do you feel about the Google paranoia? Gambling is so competitive for SEO, but also a very spammy landscape. If you want to be a serious competitor in the game on the premium keywords, you need to build a lot of links. How do you get top 5 positions without getting your site banned by Google?
That's an interesting one. This is something I feel quite strongly about. There's too much Google paranoia, and the one thing that I've found that is the real thing that's going to get you screwed, and it's very simple. It's, in my opinion, and I could be wrong, but based on everything I've seen and everything I've done, it comes down to this: anchor text variation above everything. That's the first thing you're going to do wrong, is go after keyword. If you synthesize a natural footprint with sufficient variation, unless you're outed and the whole thing, you're given a manual slap on the wrist, and these things come in for various reasons, then you're going to be pretty safe. It's not rocket science. In fact, in some markets, and I won't mention the name of the market because I don't want to pollute the well, but in one particular territory, I put a site live, and within 2 weeks, I was number 4 for tragaperas, or slots, with, get this, 23 links, and I only 40% of those mentioned the keyword within a phrase. The rest of it was just URL.
Can I just add to this? This isn't like someone drunk at a party saying, I snogged Lady Gaga. This is true because I've seen it. I've seen you do it, Paul, so I know it's for real. One thing I also feel quite strongly about, when I look across all the territories and all the key phrases and so on that I deal with, one thing I've realized is that all things are relative. So if you're doing something that Google cares about, for example, if you're out there spamming on medical terms, where if someone reads your affiliate site and that leads to someone dying, for example, or something, something really bad, then yeah, okay, they're going to care about that sort of stuff. But they don't make a great deal of money out of gambling yet. As countries become regulated, of course, they're going to run AdWords in those countries and so on. But essentially, as Paul rightly pointed out earlier, all things are relative. And in our industry, there are very few places where you can get natural links. So it's like, if everyone's in a race are they going to disqualify every single person in the race that's worth anything, as it were? Or are they just going to go, okay, well, everyone's broken the start, we'll just carry on? And I think they just go, well, everyone's broken the start, we just carry on. And they just go for what they do is they make an example of certain offenders, and they use their skills in FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, to great effect to terrify people. But in essence, we're in a pool of just paid-for links, unfortunately. It is the way it is, except for sports.
Yeah, everyone needs to ignore Google and crack on. There's no point wasting time worrying about Google when there's links to be got.
Yeah, I think as well, as I pointed out in one of my earlier slides, it's all about being like everyone else, but a little bit better. So if you do something that's outrageous, like you go off and buy 20 million links off 5 domains and they're site-wide links and all that kind of messing about, and you just expect to get whacked. It's going to probably be an algorithmic one as opposed to a hand job. But the point is that you just keep your eyes open. For me, this is where Majestic is great, because it does give you enough data to keep things tidy, which is great. But like I say, all things are relative. And what I've also noticed is that different countries are relatively uncompetitive or more competitive, whatever. And it's just, what I always think about is Google care greatly about categorization of the internet, because they have to for AdSense and AdWords and all this kind of stuff. So in our category, it's just spammy, and that's the way it is. And then if you break it out by country and by keyword, each keyword is slightly different. But the point is that there are norms within each cluster, as it were. A cluster being a keyword within a country, within a category. And once you work within those norms, you're okay. Just be a little bit better than everyone else, and then you should stay under the radar.
Great. Well, we're running out of time, but we did have several questions come in from our audience that we didn't get a chance to answer. Would you be willing to answer them via email if we send them to you, Nick and Paul?
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much. Everyone, thank you so much for attending our webinar. Thank you so much, Nick and Paul, for being our guest speakers. For the audience out there who is attending LAC at the end of January, you can check out Paul and Nick. They're conducting a session together, so make sure to check them out.
It's going to be great fun, by the way. You're going to have an absolute laugh. Paul and I
we are.
Times. We've got it down to a fine art. It's all about learning lots of stuff and having a great time, and hopefully we'll...
Great. Well, we presented 4 solutions today and some additional ones: research tools, systems and processes, Blag a link, buy a link. So I hope everyone got some great link building strategies for 2012. I just want to remind everyone out there too to please vote for CAP for the IGB awards that we mentioned earlier in the webinar. You can visit the link on your screen right now and just vote for us. We really appreciate it, and we can continue putting these great webinars on.
And Michaela, just one thing. Ellen Garth for Best Affiliate Manager. I'm sure some of you already know her. She's great. And it would mean an awful lot to everyone here if you could give her a vote. Really, we would all appreciate it.
And Paul Riley is Best Dressed Male.
Oh, yeah.
Great. Well, be sure to vote for all of those nominations, including the one Nick mentioned. Have a great day, everyone, and you can check out this webinar next week on our website if you want to recap and hear all this great information again. Thanks so much, everybody. Take care.
Great. Thank you all.
Bye.